out of ash, and did a little embellishing on it and stuff. And then he looked at one of my tri-corner pieces and asked if I actually was looking at a double tri-corner. He said, "Could you do one of those as a smoker?" I haven't figured out how to do it with a double yet, but with the single tri-corner, did it this way. But I kind of hit on doing the square shape to them, and I made quite a few of them more or less like this. Here were a couple I made yesterday. One of the great things about this club, like this was actually inspired by Steve Claycomb, because I got at the holiday party, I got one of his, it was a pin cushion, but it was a winged piece and it had flat wings. So I decided to try one of these with flat wings. This was kind of a failed experiment, but it's going to be a prototype for something this was kind of inspired by some of Bruce Perry's shapes. So I'm working on that. I do like them when they're not really quite square, when they're sort of a little off. And in fact, actually, all of these, I really try to make them a little bit not quite square, because I will finish off the edges on a disc sander, and I try to make them not quite exactly square. Here's one with a natural edge. I don't know if that one's going to stay together or not. The bark might come off of there. Yeah. Yeah, just a smoky flavor to a cocktail. A lot of people like that. The purpose of it is to give a cocktail like an old fashioned or a whiskey or something a smoky flavor. I'm not really actually a big fan. I've tried it and I like it for some things, but when I drink whiskey, it's usually a single malt Scotch, and I kind of like it the way the Scots made it. But I have tried it with some other things, and I like it pretty much. I'm starting with a blank about like this, about 4 1/4 square and about 2 inches thick. It has to be at least 2 inches, and not really much more than that. That's for the body of it, and then about a 4-inch square, 1-inch piece for the lid. So you get over to the lathe. And I have this mounted on a screw chuck. This is a dedicated screw chuck, but a woodworm screw will work equally well. Is this okay with the face shield on? Okay. In general, with winged vessels, you find that speed is your friend, and so I tend to turn these pretty fast. And I'm going to start out with a bowl gouge. This is actually I just got this gouge today. This is a Thompson, well, it's a 1/2 inch diameter, what the Brits would call a 3/8 inch bowl gouge, but okay. And at the beginning, I just need to get rid of a lot of wood. And uncharacteristically, I am going to stop before I move the tool rest. I know what you're supposed to. Tool rest is a cutting tool. what part am I working on now? This will be the bottom of the piece. And so if we look at this, I'm trying to have about a 1 inch long protrusion here. And at this point, I'm making it about 1 5/8. And one of the nice things is that that's the diameter of this tail center. So, and I need a little over an inch, or about an inch, because I'm going to put a tenon on there, and then after I've shaped this, I'll drill my holes, and then we'll turn it around and work on the inside.
What speed
Right now I'm about 1800. What speed? What speed am I turning at? About 1800. As I say, with winged vessels, I tend to turn pretty fast. Also, my lathe is not quite at this altitude. Yeah, I was looking at platform shoes. What was the comment? I could do that, yeah. I'm not really a great dancer, so. Now, I've never made any two of these alike, nor have I tried to. If somebody wanted a duplicate set, I think they'd have to hire somebody else. I will say the tri-corner ones have been pretty popular. In fact, I had to get that one back from my neighbor because that was the only one I didn't have any left. The tri-corners do take a little bit longer to make just because you have to remove more wood initially. And another 1/8 of an inch there, I think. And so, like I said, about 1 5/8 here. This is going to get cut down later, but Yeah, I've got about 1 3/4 inches. I'm going to be using 3 different chucks here today. And I'll talk more in the class about how you could do this just with, like, if you just have a Nova G3, you could do it with that. But I'm going to be using 3 different chucks, so I'm going to cut this down just a little bit more. Take a little about 1/8 of an inch off of that. I think I've got enough length there. I still need a little bit more. What diameter am I looking for? I'm looking for about 1 5/8 inches here right now. It's going to go down to 1.5 inches at a later stage. But what I'm going to be doing is drilling 1 1/4 hole into that and then meeting it. So then after I turn it around again, I'll take another 1/8 of an inch off of that, so I end up with all thickness. It's not really a critical dimension. Unless I were to make it too small for my chuck jaws. Now I'm just going to kind of finesse this shape here with the shear scraper. See how that looks. And I'm not going to do any sanding of this today. I normally would do a little bit of sanding there. I don't sand these a lot. Tool I'm using right now, this is a spear point shear scraper, and this is actually a Ray Key tool that's made by Henry Taylor. So yeah, it's great for the outside of bowls. You can use it on either side. Wouldn't be good for the inside of bowls, but. Okay. I'm going to consider that a good enough surface for right now. This surface doesn't matter at all because that's all going to go away. There's my pencil. So about 1/2 inch from this bottom, I'm going to make a mark here. And now I'm just going to make a tenon on here. And this is something from Jimmy Clues. He said buy the cheapest parting tool you can and grind it to your dovetail angle, and don't use it for anything else. So I'm going to make my tenon with that right now. So I have, yeah, it's just this is a $10 parting tool from Penn State. And I just ground this side to the dovetail, ground it to the dovetail angle that I want. And I don't use it for anything else other than, well, this, and there's another stage in this project that I'll use it for again. And you'll see that when I get to it. Just flatten that out. And actually, at this point, I need to remove my tool rest, or my tailstock. Let's just check the diameter on that. Yeah, that should work. And now, one of the things, I've seen some really ugly versions of these things online on YouTube. And one of the things I saw a lot was that people would just kind of randomly drill holes in the bottom, which I thought was kind of butt ugly. And so I came up with a drilling jig. And about 2 weeks after I did this, John Lucas wrote a whole article about index drilling on the lathe and basically showed the same thing. This tool rest is not moving. Okay. And what I need to do is line up my drill bit on center here. And this jig, just a piece of aluminum tubing, a block of shocked wood that I turned to fit into there, and then I drilled a hole so I could line this up on center. And drill 8 equally spaced holes using the indexing on the lathe here. So the Powermatic has 48-point indexing, and so I'm going to divide that by 8, and so I'm going to drill a hole every 6. I think the drill bit would wander. I think the drill bit would wander by the time you got all the way across. And what I've found is that by doing it this way, my holes do line up. I'll drill pretty much into the center of the piece. Not really. But the reason I do it is because then it kind of, when I get around to the other side, it confirms that I'm straight, because I end up back in the hole. And there's actually another reason that I'll show you in a minute. And it just doesn't take that long, so. These are 3/16. I've thought about going to 1/4-inch holes. I don't know if I'd maybe get more smoke into the drink, but so 6, 12, 18. We all remember our multiplication tables, right? $24. I have a Laguna lathe, and for whatever reason, okay, what's the next one? Where am I going? Thank you. They have 3 different scales for the indexing. They have 48, they have 36, those make sense to me. They also have 14. Haven't figured out what you would use a 14-point indexing for. What's next? 42, right. Thank you. This indexing system is really nice on here. The only thing is, instead of 48, it goes to 0. Okay, so now I have 8 equally spaced holes. And yeah, $143 for that jig. Or you can buy a piece of tubing from Lowe's and get some of that shocked wood that you have out and make that. Or come up with your own version of it. Okay, so got my outside, got my tenon, got my holes, ready to turn it around.
Is there any reason why you don't put a hole in the bottom of it?
A hole in the bottom of it? I think you would end up with ashes going into your drink. Not necessarily, it depends what you like, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, at some point it might not matter, you know. Another advantage of the club, it's actually a grizzly chuck that we were doing a garage sale or helping with to get a garage sale ready, and I think I ended up getting this for about $25. And it's certainly not a Vic mark. I have a couple of Vic marks, but they're too big for this project. No, of course not.
There's a good bar in Canyon City that actually has one that they'll make they use a smoker at the bottom.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they had a Vic mark truck.
You want to try a drink? They have different flavors and they will make smoke.
I was going to say, that's a specialized kind of bar.
It is. They have over 100 different kinds of whiskey.
Are we going there after the meeting?
It's called the office if you ever get down there.
Okay. And there it is. I knew that we had a tool rest. You know, I usually don't use the tool rest or the tailstock at this point in the project, so it kind of gets in the way. I'm a firm believer in using the tailstock whenever you possibly can, but this is kind of a, maybe I can't possibly. So I'm going to go to a smaller gouge here. This gouge I got in our raffle at the holiday party. It's another Thompson gouge, and I really like it. The auction, yeah. The auction, not the raffle, yes. Now, I don't want to get too aggressive here because I do have a very small tenon on this. Now, I make the bore of those about 3.5 inches. And I know some people don't like to mark things, do it like this, but I do. Yes, and it is very important if you do that. This side can touch, this side never touches, because that is coming back at you. Not really a fun situation. As they used to say on the Red Green Show, safety forced. Now, when you're making winged vessels, I find that you always have a little bit of a decision to make. Sometimes the decision gets made for you, whether you want to go for an even wall thickness all the way across, whether you want to have a little bit of what I call a smile profile, where it's a little thicker in the middle. I tend not to like the tips to be wider, although sometimes it gives it a little bit of an Asian appearance. I generally try to make it an even wall thickness all the way here, but sometimes I like it with I sometimes like it with a little bit more in the middle. In this case, I'm going to attempt to make it even. And particularly on these wings where you're cutting a lot of wood and air, the pressure goes down on the tool rest, but not into the wood. Okay. I could go a little thinner. I'm not going to. I'm going to trade this one out. Where's my wrench here? Of course, yeah. Depends what kind of wood it is. Half-inch spindle gouge. I'm just going to clean up this outside wall here. Yeah. Nice. Still not quite happy with that outside wall. Let me do one more cut here. The old deadly one more cut. That, I think, got it. And in the interest of time, I will call that good. Generally on these wings, there will be some hand sanding necessary, or else what I like to do a lot of times is just I put a 1-inch disc on a drill press and then sand up into here to get this smoothed out. It's not too bad. Okay, now I need to start hollowing out the center here. And again, I want to make sure I don't get too aggressive because it's a pretty small tenon over there. I only used about 1/8 of an inch for that tenon. Who signed up for cleanup crew tonight? This is maple. What kind of wood is it? This is maple? Yeah. I'll try to remember to repeat the question for the people at home, all the folks at home. Now, I'm going to go to a scraper at this point. This is a box scraper. Again, this is not an expensive tool. This is a Benjamin's Best. Anyone know who Benjamin was? He was okay, but yeah, this is from Penn State. But the important thing about this tool is that this corner is 90 degrees, and then I can go in as with the box cut, and I try to make a little bit of a radius here and here, so I don't get caught on, with too much metal in contact at once. But I need a 90-degree corner right there. And this can be a pretty aggressive tool if you're not careful. So when I'm lining this up, I want to make sure that this edge right here is going perpendicular to the piece. And then I want to mark a 2 1/4 inch circle. I use a 2 1/4 inch screen in these. Oh, wait, it's over here. That's right. Now I have these custom made by a family in Brazil that has passed down the art of wire weaving for generations. But you can get the same thing. It's a Danco sink strainer on Amazon. And for my designs of this, it's very important that it's a 2 1/4 inch. And those are, I haven't had much luck finding them other than on Amazon. I buy them in a 6-pack. So, oh, the sink screen, yeah. Yeah, they even, the Brazilian family even, packages them to look like these Danco strainers. To having a small tenon? Yeah. The reason, I'm going to have to waste that tenon later, and I need all of that height there for the, in that chimney. So that's why I use a small tenon there. And yeah, as I say, you could do this with, a larger chuck, like well, I think a G3, the smallest it'll grab is about 1 3/4 inches. This chuck will go down to about 1 3/8 inches for these jaws. So, okay, so I was about to mark my circle here. And again, just like with the other calipers, you want to make sure that only this point touches. Okay, so let's go here. Okay. Now it's time to drill a hole. I use an 1 1/4 inch drill bit to drill the center hole. And I don't have to measure my depth. The reason being, and this is part of the reason I drill those holes so farther into there, you will hear when I get to those holes.
What speed you got here?
About 600 usually. And I want to start that drill bit out very slowly so it seats straight. does anybody know what's one full turn on the Powermatic? On mine, it's 1/8 of an inch. 1/16 or 3/16? Okay, we'll find out. Hear that? I just hit my holes. Now I'm at the bottom of my holes. I want to go about 1/8 of an inch further, so I don't know how many turns to do. Let's see. Just about perfect. Okay, so I intersected my holes here. I went about 1/8 of an inch further. Now I just need to clean up this area and then turn it around. And how am I doing on time here? Oh, we're good. All kinds of time. What's that scraper? There it is. Okay, so you can take a lot of different approaches. I actually need to go a little bit deeper with all of this here. And maybe I should take this out of here before I do surgery on my elbow. So there is always the divot from the drill bit in the bottom, and I can get some of that out with this. I also sometimes take a drill with a 1-inch sanding pad in there and just drill it or just sand that out. But first I need to take all of this down just a little bit. A little bit more. And this is not a negative rake scraper, so I need to make sure that it is pointing downhill. By looking at how deep I need the screen to go into the hole. I also actually need to take a little bit off of this edge here. This is a little bit too tall for my taste. I could do that with a gouge, but I happen to be holding the scraper in my hand. So that's where it is. Okay, let me get back my 2 1/4 inch circle here. There. And part of it is just, that's the way I wanted it to look. Now I do need to make a little bit of a taper in here so that that screen fits in there correctly. Screen is that long. It's just a little over an inch, maybe 1 1/8 inches. So let's see, first of all, does that fit? Yep, that's good. And need a little bit more taper there. And then I'm going to go back to this dovetail tool here, and I'm going to undercut that little rim just a little bit. Why is he doing that? Well, I could use it for a recess as well as for a tenon. Okay, let me just clean this up a little bit here. That needs to be a little bit deeper, just a tiny bit. Okay, that's a pretty good fit.
Is there any value to keep room beside that basket for that draw to be more stronger?
I haven't researched that. If we, we could maybe get together and do about, several cocktails and determine if that was.
You can smoke a Dr. Pepper on there.
I don't see why not. I seriously was trying to think of, what would be maybe some non-alcoholic things that would go well with this. I was thinking like apple juice might work well, something. I don't know. Okay. Now I could clean up that hole, but in the interest of time, I think I'm going to leave that for right now. I can always clean that up with some sandpaper on the drill press later. So
Normally you would sand it though.
Normally, yeah, well, what I would first do is clean it up a little bit with this tool, go all the way in there and clean up as much as I could. And then I would take a drill with a 1-inch sanding pad. And let's face it, this is going to have flames shooting down into it. 60, 80 grit, that's all you need, and that'll clean it up. So what I will do with this one is just put a 60 grit pad on a drill press, clean it up that way. And the fact is that most people will never see it anyway. Why did I undercut this? We're about to find out. I could, I've been going back and forth on that. I've been doing a lot of them where I did have a lip there, and then I've been doing some others without it, and I haven't decided which one I like better. So it's a loose fitting lid. You want to be able to just take it right off the off the smoker. I don't ever try to make these at all a friction fit. So yeah, I don't want to do that on this one. So like I say, I've never made any two of them alike, so okay. So as you can see, that is a pretty small tenon there. That was only, I don't even know if that is 1/8 of an inch. I don't think it is. Now, I'm going to get rid of this chuck. I will admit that I usually take chucks off the lathe by putting it in reverse. It's good that we have lathes now that have reverse, because then when you make a mistake, you just go backwards and then do it over again. Okay. Now this chuck, this is just a Supernova. Oops. But this is a Nova, their long jaws. And because this is 2 1/4 inches, those jaws will go into that 1/16 inch recess, and they won't mark it. And pretty darn solid. I'm still going to use my tailstock for a little while. Not that I don't trust a 1/16 inch recess. Let's see, I need to line that up quite a bit. Oh, I should mention before I do that, this tail center is one that I got from Cindy Drozda, and has a very small point in it, so it's not going to damage a lot of that wood. It's not going to be, because don't forget, we have a point coming down. We don't want those 2 points to meet in the middle. I've heard of people doing that. Well, yeah, it's a rumor. Oh, one of the cool things about this project, actually the very first one I ever made, I made out of just a piece of a log of ash, and I wasn't really paying attention to the fact that the pith was running right down the middle, and that pith was particularly unstable, and so when I got down to the bottom, the pith just broke out. Well, all you have to do is glue another piece of wood on there. It looks like a decorative, decorative decision rather than a mistake. So if you do go through the bottom, you can always glue another piece of wood on it, cut it down. Okay. And the nice thing about this too, at this stage, when I'm trimming this down, I want about an 1/8 inch wall thickness at the end. I can see right through those holes, and I can see exactly how thick my wall is. I don't have to worry about that I'm going to go through it. Ah, better? And you can hear when I go across those holes. Check my thickness here. I still got plenty. Just going to use a skew on its side as a scraper, just to clean that up there and in there. Okay. And now take away this tenon. Actually, I'm going to leave that one in because I'm going to use that again later. Wine smoked? I guess it would depend on the wine. I did try it with a very dark, heavy beer one time, and it was pretty good. Yeah, keep in mind that I only have a 1/16 inch recess holding this now. I do want this to be slightly concave so that the bottom will sit flat on the table. Let's just check that. Yeah, that's good. I don't know, can you see that? Then it's slightly concave. Doesn't have to be very much. Just clean up that. Okay. And let's just pretty it up a little bit, if I can find it. Where'd it go? Oh, it's in here. Sorby spiraling tool. Let's do this tool at about 500 RPM. Close enough. Yeah, I like that. Okay, the bottom is now done. 30 minutes? Oh, we got so much time. I would just take a file. I have a round file that I go through those with, but yes. A little bit, yeah. That I get less trip out because that's why I drill it and then take this diameter down. But I still you still get a little bit. But I found that just taking a file, I can go through there. And no matter what I do, they look better than the people that just take a hand drill and go. So we're going to put that aside. Before I do that, I'm going to take a measurement here. I'll put this up here. Just measure my inside diameter here for the lid. Well, hardwoods tend to work better. This is butternut, which is somewhere in between, and I found that it's not really great for doing the texturing with like the Sorby tools. I'm probably going to do it anyway, just just to demonstrate it. But I've had better luck with either a hard maple or some walnut or stuff like that, but the butternut is not all that great for the detailing. But the other factor is that if I don't like the lid that I make tonight, it takes about 15 minutes to make a lid or less. So I can always make another one. So all I'm doing, I'm just butting this up against the chuck, tightening this up, and it's not going anywhere, except in circles. Okay, so, and I do want, so I'll be taking this down to round. Really? I checked that. It's not touching. Oh, there it is. Okay. The wood does not lie. Okay. Close enough? Stop the lathe before you move the tools. We all do that all the time, right? So there was a thread on Facebook last week sometime. So Roper started it, and he said, what? How do you make $1 million in wood turning? And the answer, of course, is start with 2 million. And I pointed out that that was a recycled jazz musician joke. But I like the one. Then later on, Cindy contributed. So what does a wood turner do when they win the lottery? Keep doing craft fairs till it's gone. Now I'm going to make a tenon on this side. This will be the top of the lid, top side of the lid. I usually prefer to make my tenons with a spindle gouge rather than with that tool, except when I make a cut like that. If it's my wife, tell her I'm not here. Pardon? Oh, okay. Actually, I think my wife's watching, so she knows where I am. Okay, and I'm not really at all concerned about the surface there at this point. And now I am officially done with my tailstock. And once that tail center, this is the one. Actually, this one, Cindy makes these now. This was one of the original ones she had from England, and she decided that she could no longer use these since she was selling her own. So I happened to be in the right place at the right time. She said, "Would you use this?" Yeah. So, okay, so let's chuck this up. So Trent Bosch sells these super Allen wrenches, and up until recently I thought, what's the purpose? You get a nice plastic handle, that's not going to break. I broke one recently, so I broke down and bought these. I think I only have 8 chucks. Oh man, I got to get busy. Buy some more chucks. So this is the inside dimension of my bowl there. Okay. Okay, it needs to be just a little bit smaller. And as I say, this, I'm going for a very loose fit here, so I'm really not trying to get this like the type of thing you would do on a lidded box. I just want a lid that sits on top. See how that fits. Still a little too tight. And this is when you're doing a lidded box and all of a sudden it becomes way too loose. But in this case, that's okay. Because for the beginning turners out there, we always have to remember that when we take a little bit off, you're taking, whatever you're taking off of here, you're taking off twice as much because you're taking it off of both sides. And so if you take off 1/8 of an inch, that's actually just the fit I want. You're taking off 1/4 of an inch. So, okay, so it can stay just like that. Now I'm basically just going to make a dome on the inside of this. Line my gouge up so it's cutting about on center. Or my tool rest just a little bit. So I joined this club in 2014, and at the time I do remember coming to some demonstrations and thinking, man, I wonder if I'll ever be qualified to come up here and do that. Obviously I'm not, but I'm up here anyway. Going to take a negative rake round node scraper and just clean that up. Okay. Penn State to the rescue again. This used to be a spindle gouge. They sell it as a 1/4 inch spindle gouge. Pretty much of a useless tool. But I ground it away like this, and you turn it over and it becomes a beading tool. So I once again need my 2 1/4 inch dimension. Have these conveniently set at 2 1/4 inches. Whenever I've been doing a demonstration of this, I always hope that, you're supposed to be a little bit inside of your line and then move out, keep moving out. And I keep saying that's what you're supposed to do, except that I always somehow hit it right on. And I'm going to make a bead with this. How's that look? Not bad. A little bit deeper. And much like the recess that we had for the screen, which the user sees as a decorative recess, and we as turners see as a chucking point, this tool gives me a perfect chucking point right here. So when I turn the lid around, I don't have to do anything fancy to make that. So let's decorate that inside a little bit. Oh, good. So I'm just going to use the same spiral. This is a spiraling wheel, and when you change the angle, it's going to make different patterns, but I'll use the same one I used on the bottom. Again, about 500 RPM with this tool. Yeah, it's not really a clean cut with this. I probably should have had it at a little bit more of an angle, but I didn't want to take the time to adjust it. But one thing we can do to clean that up a little bit is one thing you can do is cut yourself. Apparently there's a sharp edge out here. Do we have a Band-Aid? Oh, I see it. Yep, right there. Great, thank you. This is covered by our AEW insurance.
Are you a member?
I am a member. Okay. Okay, so that's done. And yeah, you're right. Good idea. Lost my gouge. There it is. Ah. No, it's bleeding a little more than I thought it was. Well, there are lots of coloring techniques we can use on wood. Yeah, I think so. Ah, here we go. Yep. You know what? Yeah, I did not. Oh, I have to put that back on there anyway. I didn't cut that recess quite deep enough to grab it.
And a septic, more Band-Aid, trauma pad.
I have never cut myself in a demo before.
You want a gauze?
No, I think just another Band-Aid at this point.
Remember at the holiday party, you're bidding on that piece, you're saying for blood.
Yeah.
You want a rubber glove?
Maybe. Let me see. I think this might take care of it.
More Band-Aid.
Okay. Here we go. No, that's just for. Okay. Okay. Pardon? They just call them a long jaw, long nose jaw. And they do make, Vicmark has them too. I have some long jaws for my Vicmark chucks. Okay, I'm going to do something a little bit controversial. And some people don't like to do this. To initially shape this lid, I'm going to turn in reverse because I can see that curve better looking away from me. And some people insist that you have to have a set screw on the chuck. With something this small, I've never had a problem with it. I've done it many, many times. If I were doing something large, I don't even know if I'd do that with the Vicmark 120. It's because it's such a heavy chuck. But with this, I feel pretty confident. Okay. And I'm just going to go for a dome shape. With a very small amount of OG at the end. And then I'm going to put it back in normal direction and use a negative rake, or a skewer as a negative rake scraper to just clean up that shape. Just a little bit of sanding here, 180 grit, 240 grit. This is a thing called the sanding taco that Woodturners Wonders sells. I think Klingspor has their own version of it. I found it to be very useful. Yeah. Okay, the only other thing I'm going to do that, this class that I was in with Trent was largely about embellishment. There it is. And of course, Trent had a lot of wonderful tools that I don't have, a lot of air tools and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of it is just adding a little more visual, interest to your work through things like texturing, burning. As you can see with some of those lids, I took just a fine wire wood burner and just kind of randomly made lines or dots. In this case, what we're going to do, I'm going to turn this to also get to about, this one can go a little bit faster. And I don't, like I said, this butternut may not take the detail as well as I would like. Let's see. Not too bad. I'll accept that for right now. I think I'm probably going to trash that lid and make another one. But another thing we can do, one of the things, if you work with Laurent Niclot, his first answer to everything is burn it. Uh, 138, as slow as I could get it to go, basically. Well, I figured, remember when, what's the name, from Wisconsin, skew guy, Alan Lacer was doing, was making tools and, using map gas and all kinds of stuff. So if he didn't set it off, I figured probably okay. And actually what looks pretty good is if you then burnish that with using like the Beal buffing system, gives you some nice effects. And so, and then, you could also do things with the wood burning pen. I only brought this because you can take something like a Fordham and just put, whatever burr you want on there and just make little random holes like that, get some different textures. So there we have a cocktail smoker. I just usually use walnut oil on them. I think any kind of built-up finish you might run the risk of fire, but so I just put walnut oil on them, and it seems to work really well. Yeah. So, yeah, you figured that these are going to be used by people while they're drinking. So,
So Don, for next Tuesday's class, for those the people that are coming to it, you have a list of what they might want to bring.
I do.
Then you want to send it to me.
Yeah. Oh, you'd like it. Oh, yeah.
I'll send it to the class.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm going to try to procure some wood, but basically you need a block. I usually make them just a little bit over 4, like 4 1/4 square, and 2 inches thick. Has to be 2 inches thick, and then another 4-inch square piece for a lid. If it's a little thicker, you could put a knob or something on it like this. If it's thinner, you can't. So. Mm-hmm.
That was a really good demo. Makes me wanna go home.
Thank you.